Hi there, I'm Construction Gamer and this is the Midlands to London on Transport Fever 2. In today's episode we're going to be continuing with the North London line build, and we're going to get the final bit of that build and finished off, because I know this is rolling into the third episode now. I thought this would go a little bit quicker, but I promise once this episode's done we've already got a freight service up and running, but I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. But yeah, you can see there the class 67 haul service with these wagons. Currently I haven't got unlocked any container flat cars at the minute, so I've just gone with these kind of goods wagons with a top and tail class 67 into EWS colours, which I think would be about right for this period for express freight services. And as you can see, we are in the Tilbury Dock, which we started in the last episode but one. I've done a little bit of detail to it. I wouldn't call it mega detailing, but I've just added loads of containers just to make it look better. I thought I found a asset pack which contains some dockside cranes and I'm not sure if they were ship-to-shore cranes or straddle carriers, but they don't seem to be appearing in my assets collection just yet, so I don't know if they don't get unlocked for a period. But I think with the containers it looks a little bit better, and I've got some of these assets as well, some of these factories, just to add a little bit of detail to the area. I think this is something I'm probably going to work on and off for the foreseeable, basically, to add even more detail to it, just to make it look as good as it can be. I've started experimenting with retaining walls here to see if that makes the dock look a little bit better. I've tried experimenting with setting the terrain adjustment, but when you set the terrain adjustment for the lower, it collides with the water, so that won't work. So I've just had to go for straight up walls, which I think makes it look a little bit better. Again, I'm not going for like mega detail in this series, but just anything I can do to make the cab rides look a little bit better. And we will perhaps do a cab ride coming out of Tilbury at the end of this episode, actually, because we haven't done a cab ride for a while because we have been doing so much. Done a little bit of work to this Dartford crossing where HS1 crosses the Dartford crossing, which all looks fab. I'm pretty pleased with how that's looking. Now, obviously we've got the cable stayed bridge. That's just vanilla, but it just does the part, looks good. Again, a little bit of detail here. Got the track, and then we did Stratford International Station in the last episode. Now, for some reason I was working on the basis that the freight services came along here, went past Stratford, went past I think that's Stratford Station, isn't that Stratford International, and then came along here, because when you go onto Open Rail Maps, this line here, as far as I can make out, is also named the North London line, as is this one, which confused me a little bit. So I was working on the basis that the trains come along this line and then feed into the West Coast Main Line here, which they don't. They come across this North London line. Now, I might just be reading it wrong, or Open Rail Maps might be incorrectly, or could be correctly listed. Maybe they're both North London lines, but yeah, it just confused me a little bit. So what I've been doing, I've done a little bit of work off camera to get all of these tracks in place. Now, it might seem a little bit obvious, but with the London build, and I guess with any build, but London in particular, you can't build a track on its own. You've got to add the other tracks in. So I've gone and looked at every single rail crossing, so we've got the accurate rail crossing if it's over or under. I think this track here feeds into Liverpool Street, and then we've got, I think that's pretty much it for all the rail crossings, and then we've got the Gospel Oak section, which is what we're going to start building now. So as you can see, we've got our freight services. It's just going on this plain piece of track. I just basically wanted to see if I could get the freight service working and what signals I would have to change in order to get it to work. I had to redesign the West Coast map. I think this is probably the 5th iteration of this junction now. Not completely accurate, because what's this? Is this? Ooh, not sure what line that is actually. But yeah, this shouldn't cross like this with the two bridges stacked. This railway does cross this line, but not quite like that. But I think it's just one of the compromises we're going to have to make. And I had to redo this box junction just to add in this extra piece of track for this connection. And obviously here there'll be a huge freight depot and things like that. Obviously we haven't got the space for that within this. So enough of the talking, let's get on with the building. So as we on autosave, that's well timed, isn't it? Right, let's let that save, and then we can think about finally getting this track built and finished. So I'm going to pause the game And I'm going to delete all of this track. Again, this was just temporary, just to see what junctions, switches, signals I had to alter in order to get the service onto the West Coast Main Line and up to the Daventry terminal. So yeah, that's all working fine. I know what sort of direction we're working in now, so that's all good. So first things first is the Midland Main Line wants to do a turn, so I think it wants to go straight for a little. It wants to be pretty close to this Met Jubilee Chilterns lines here, so I'm going to curve that in. I think I'm going to have it going down a little bit. Don't want it to go down too much. I just want to curve that in. Obviously, I keep saying this, but the map isn't to scale, so everything's going to be a little bit closer than it is in real life. But I'm just trying to balance it out as well as I can to make sure, you know, it's a reasonable extrapolation of what's there in real life. So I think we want to get rid of all this first of all, and then we want to get this track here onto the Thames Link tracks, and then these want to merge in to the side. So let's just, I think with these, like, you got to take a big picture in with when you're building around here, because you just need to bear in mind we've got this North London line wants to come and feed into somewhere, and then we've got another track that wants to feed into somewhere, so just got to keep all of those in mind all the while. And basically, so we want a tunnel about here, there, that should be high enough. It's not a particularly long tunnel, I don't think, but it is. The North London line is also in a tunnel at the same time as well, so we want a tunnel there. Again, I always say this, but I'll fix that terrain later on. Basically want to force a tunnel, so I think I'll start from this end. So we've got the Midland Main Line in, yeah, that's fine for now. And then we've got the tunnel it goes into, good. And then this crosses the Midland Main Line, so this wants to, actually we can raise this up quite a lot, can't we? Oh, well, possibly. Have I put, is there a switch in there? I think there is, isn't there? Have I got that? No, I haven't got it diagrammed, so we'll have to try and remember that switch exists. And then get this track up. So that tunnel actually is going to have to be a lot higher. If I press M, that's as high as we're going to get, so that should be alright. I think for now I'll just use whatever this bridge here is. It's not a half side arch column yet, it's got half of it, but it's just temporary, just so I can get these bits in place and get this bit connected up to about there. And then, was there a switch? I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll might come back to that. I think the switch I had was this direction, possibly. Again, I can't see that switch getting used, but we will put it in anyway. And then this track here, I think we'll adjust this track right back. Not sure what track that is actually, but it does connect up with the Midland Main Line, and it goes over towards, it appears to connect the Great Western Main Line to the Midland Main Line. And then this track over here. You see what I mean? You can't build a single piece of track in isolation. You have to build all the tracks together in order for this to work correctly. So yeah, the Midland Main Line is electrified, isn't it? To this point, it's Kettering, I want to say. Bring that up, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, that should do the job. That's looking about right, I think. I do want to start to curve the Midland Main Line. I didn't realise it came this far west, to be honest. It does appear to come quite far west and then goes, well, it's going to have to be exaggerated because we want to get to Luton, so this next corner is going to be a little bit more exaggerated, and then obviously it's going to head up to Luton that way, and we'll put another one of these in there like that. Is that all nicely lined up? It is. Now next thing we could do is we can just get rid of this bridge. I just wanted to make sure we were on the right sort of alignment, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bits. Yeah, that looks about right, and I think we'll have a nice girder bridge. Why not? Something a bit like that. Is that as low as you can get? I probably might be able to get a bit lower than that actually. Maybe go down 2 bits. I never know. It'd be nice if there's like some sort of tool that just sets the perfect height for a bridge, just so it's low enough that it doesn't, you know, it's low enough so you can actually get things connected to it, but it's not too low that it collides with the catenary. It might come down another bit, maybe 2. Maybe I think probably 2's overcooking it. No, you can see that colliding. Let's try. Why isn't it? It's not giving me a bridge now. Yeah, 1, something a bit like that. Then just conscious that I want to get into a tunnel, don't I? So I do need to be as low as physically can get it. And then will you just connect back in there? 106. That's all fine. Good. I mean, I can always raise the terrain. That's not a major issue anyway, so I don't really need to kind of worry too much. So once you've gone underneath of the North London line, you can start to curve off. So I want to maintain a reasonable speed, actually. 80. Don't think it needs to be in a tunnel though. Definitely need to be just in a cutting. So again, this curve is going to have to be much more exaggerated, although having said that, we're not in a bad position. Where's Luton? Just keeping Luton in mind, yeah. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. 100 miles per hour alignment there. I think I'll take that. Or 99 miles per hour alignment. You just want to run. Why won't you just run alongside? Like so. Yeah, it is slowing down as we get in towards the inside curve, but that's still reasonable. I will still accept that. That's fine. And then what I was doing here was these tracks start to merge in. So we've got the 4 tracks of the Midland Main Line, and they merge into the side of the Thameslink tracks. Again, we want, you know, a reasonable 80. What sort of turnout speed? We've got 78 miles per hour turnout on that, so I think I will take that. That's fine. Not too worried about that. And then what have we got going on here? We've got junctions and stuff, which I guess I should build. Where am I? Getting lost. So we've got a switch here. I guess not sure if these will be used, but as always I do try and build junctions if they do exist, switches if they do exist. One like that, and then there was another one, I think. What's that? No, apparently they're just those 2. I'm not entirely sure what they would be used for, but they're there anyway. So we've got that tunnel there, and then I think what we're going to have to do is get this. I think what I'll do, no I won't, I'll just raise this terrain a bit more. Yeah, it is probably raised a lot more than it needs to be, but never mind. It's this tunnel. I think this tunnel's probably a little bit longer than it needs to be as well, you know, so I think I'll just make it a little bit shorter just to try and get that scale. Yeah, that'll do. That's better. Something like that. Right, and then hopefully this bit should be fairly straightforward. We need a little bit of a curve. What we're doing now, so let's stay up a little bit. I think we'll have a little bit of. I think the tunnel's fairly straight in real life, but do want a little bit of a curve on it just to get it to go to here. And then what have we got going on here? We've got, is this a little bit? No, this wants to be curved a lot more actually. Needs to be a little bit closer to the Midland Main Line, I think. So we'll bring this terrain right over here. I think to about there, just so these tunnels are lined up roughly. And then yeah, these tunnels will have to be quite curved, maybe like that. Because what have we got going on next? We've got this. Yeah, so they've merged into there. That's fine. Then we've got probably do with making these switches a little bit smaller. So we've got one coming off there. Maybe make that tunnel a little bit shorter again, and then another switch here. And that appears to be all of the switches. There might be more. I might double check that later on. Might make this tunnel a little bit shorter, perhaps, because we just need to get a curve in here. And this just goes to show how all the lines are just interconnected, just rail spaghetti everywhere. So this connects to the North London line as well, as far as I can make out. And then I think we'll just get rid of a little bit more of the tunnel, I think. Maybe make that brush a little bit smaller. No, don't go underwater. No, I don't want an underwater track. Just want a shorter tunnel. And then we are going underwater there, which could be problematic later on. I don't know why it's dipping down so much. It might have to. I don't really want to have to redo all of this, if I'm honest, but I can't understand why it's going down so much there. Let's get rid of all of this tunnel. Maybe if we just raise the tunnel up ever so slightly, a bit like that. So we've got 4-track tunnel, Or do we? No, we don't. We have two track tunnels, which I thought I'd kind of explained, well not explained, but I've drawn in my diagram that it is two track tunnels rather than just a single 4-track tunnel, and I do like to make these things as accurate as I can. So we'll have that splitting off, and then it's decided it's not on the ground anymore. So we'll raise the terrain, have these 2 tunnels a little bit. Let's raise these up a little bit, and then just another tunnel there. Just make sure these are lined up by eye. Yeah, that looks all right. And then another one about there, and then we'll have to redo this junction, I think, won't we? Hopefully get that lined up with that 80. Yeah, I think 80 should be fine. Not overly concerned about how fast it's going to be. Just want to make sure I can get these junctions and things lined up. Can I get rid of those 2 little bits of track? Obviously I don't want it to be going mega slow, that would, but I think that should be fast enough. Good. Right, next thing is this, put these switches back in, which I got rid of. So we need one there. Maybe we'll have them slow. Yeah, I'm not sure if they'll get used, so I'm not really too worried about the speed. I'm more worried about this junction. Again, this is another junction that probably will not get used, but it exists and it connects up with the North London line, so I think we should build it. And then we've got a series of switches. We've got one coming down here, one across there, and then another step down onto that line there. Good. Right, so we're getting somewhere slowly. And actually this goes, so this wants to stay. Where do you go? You do connect onto the North London line eventually. I don't really care about how fast or slow this track is, because I'm not sure if it'll get used, but pretty sure it'll probably be electrified as well, won't it? So we want a piece of track here which crosses the middle main line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that. Let's see what that looks like. Again, we'll just use the fake bridge for now, and then we'll come back and adjust it later on. Right, so we've got that in there. We've got this wants to run off. Actually, does it want to run off like this? I think we can actually make this tunnel a little less sharp. This curve. Let's make this tunnel a little bit, because I want these 2 tunnels to be roughly aligned, because they appear to be on open rail map anyway. So we'll make this a little bit less sharp. Makes that corner a little bit quicker as well, 80 miles per hour, keeping the North London line in mind. And then I think we'll curve it out a little bit like that, because we've just got to force a curve. Now I'm not sure how long this track is. It's one of the things with the drawings I do, they're often not entirely to scale themselves. They're just kind of a real brief overview of what I'm going to be building in any given episode. So I think actually we do want to make this a little bit sharper, this corner, just to make it a little bit more accurate to the junction. We're building the Gospel Oak junction now, and then we just want to put a switch in, a little tiny stub of a switch first of all, holding shift, and then we change the height, just so we don't get any ugliness. And then this can just curve straight round onto there on an embankment. Yeah, well, I say that. Oh yeah, that's maybe if we push, no, because we've got to thread this through here. I don't know. This goes off to Kentish Town West Station, so I don't know what line that is, but it does have to thread between the Middle and Main line and the Chilterns Met Dilly line, is it? Jubilee, what have I got there? Metropolitan Jubilee and Chiltern Main line. So it does have to thread between those 2. So it might just be a case of one. Can we just push this out a little bit more? I just don't want it to be one long bridge. I just don't like the idea of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll just have this pointing in that sort of direction. Now we should have, there probably should be a station here as well, but we're obviously not going to get that in. That's just Kentish Town, I think. Not going to get that in, unfortunately. I'm not going to have, yeah, it is one of the unfortunate things about the scale of the map. We're not going to get in, we're not going to get in many of the stations actually, which is just a bit of a shame, but never mind. We just have to work within the limits of this map that I've designed. So we will put in nice road bridge here, I think. Well, we could probably raise this up a little bit. So if we raise that up till it starts to generate a bridge, put it on an embankment first, no, and then we'll have a little bit of a girder bridge on the flat. Girder bridge, make it a nice green colour for once. Is that curved? It is, isn't it? Don't know why that's curved. I want it to be straight. Straight. Stop curving. Just a straight girder bridge like that. Good. Right, and then the next bit is, I think I'll just connect that up in one foul swoop actually. Like so. I don't think, like I said, I don't think there are any more rail intersections. I think we are free of those now, so we've encircled London with this we've encircled North London with this North London line. So I think I've got in all of the rail crossings, all of the bridges that I need to, hopefully. Because that's the thing, it's just a pain coming back later on and redoing all of these things. So I just want to try and get it out of the way sooner rather than later. Right, so I think this track here will curve it in a little bit more. I think what I'll do, I don't normally like doing this. No, I'm not going to do that at all actually, ignore that. What I'm going to do is put a bridge in there, which is going to be a girder bridge. Could probably have done maybe that short. Yeah, the funny little things you have to do to kind of force bridges and whatnot is can be a challenge sometimes. So keep you on the flat-ish, straight and flat. Straight. Where's me little snap? Should normally, I think, about there. And then another straight girder bridge straight across there. It's a little tiny bit of an embankment, which is probably not even worthwhile kind of bothering with, but I think it just looks that much better. And then we're going to curve this in a lot quite. I want to get this one here curved in quite a lot more than it was. Just what I was going to do was go to the assets, stick one of these in, just so I can make sure these things, the walls aren't going to be fouling the track, which is just about alright, I think. Might be able to make that bridge a little tiny bit shorter, possibly. Let's try it again. So to about there, we just want to make sure it's long enough that the walls that I'm putting in don't foul anything, because obviously that just makes it look rubbish. And then the littlest tiny bit, yeah, really not worth bothering with at all, but it just makes things look a little bit better. Yeah, I'll mess with the walls later on and fix those and whatnot. Has this gone a bit too far away? So that comes off, and then yeah, this wants to curve in a bit more, I think. Broken those. So we'll have, yeah, it wants to, yeah, I did it wrong actually. So let's get that lined up properly. Make sure there's no fouling or no ballast over the rail head. So this wants to come down a little bit. So I think we'll stay on the flat. I think I do need to curve that a little bit more actually. Just that you need to, with the scale being off, what you have to do is sometimes you have to exaggerate the curves and things like that just to make them look semi-accurate. So they both kind of point downwards and then head back up. The only problem with that is it does mean that some of these curves are going to be quite slow. I mean, 50 miles per hour is not great. Would be nice to have that a little bit quicker. No, I think that probably looks a little bit more accurate, like looks a little bit more like Gospel Oak looks like in real life. If that makes sense. I don't think that was correct use of words then. And then just straight into there, like so. And then the last little bit is this wants to curve in another piece of track, which I don't know what it does or where it goes, but it's going to be built. You find out later on, usually, like I have done with the West Coast Main Line previously, if you omit tracks, and it can come back to bite you in the posterior because you find out that you need it. So that's what I did with the North London line connection to the West Coast Main Line. I'd kind of completely omitted all of this section here, and it did come back to bite me because obviously we needed it. So actually, although it looks a little bit of a terrain mess, which we can quickly fix with the extra wide brushes that we use now, I don't think I'm too unhappy with how this is looking, other than this line which connects at Cricklewood Junction. I guess we should put that in. Maybe if we just find a little bit more, no, not that, just trying to find a height in between the low and the high, something like that. just to make this look a little bit better. Flatten all this, just so it doesn't look like we've got a massive mountain in the middle of London, or the middle of North London rather. Flatten that off. Yeah, definitely the mod for having the extra big brushes definitely does help. It's not such a big issue if you're using the sandbox mod when money isn't an issue. So we've got all that in there, and then that one in there, and then this piece of track was to curve round. Actually no, we'll do the outside edge first. Curve that round, too much slope. Ooh, that's miles up in the air. Right, can I have that any lower? I can't. I think what I'll have to do then is delete this here and then get this up a little bit. Hopefully we can get the two ends to meet, because that is miles up in the air compared to the Midland main line. Yeah, again, it's another connection which I don't know if it will be used, if it is used, by what, but as it exists we will put it in place just so it's there. And then actually, yeah, we can go quite high there. Keep that on an embankment, keep with the 84 miles per hour alignment, that will do, I think. Should be quick enough. And then can I just, which bit was I putting in? It was this bit here. So we're doing the outer edge of this, curved into here. Now, we do have a little bit of an issue. We're a little bit too close, because what we need is, and I don't think we're going to be able to do it, is that, and that would just make a really stupid looking junction. I don't know. Might be able to move this, but it still looks completely ridiculous. Actually, yeah, it's not completely ridiculous, although it looks it. And then just, yeah, I am building this on that bridge again as well, aren't I? So we'll bring that round. Can I? Yeah, I'm not going to do that, but I just want to see if I could get that into there. I think what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of a corner here. This is one of the things why I'm holding off, well, I'm trying to hold off doing any detailing or putting any retaining walls or anything in, is because things are likely to change all the time, so we're always kind of adjusting things. Don't want to do a curved girder bridge because curved girder bridges look rubbish, but we do want a tight corner. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what this speed of this corner is, because again I can't see any services using it, but it's more for the look of the actual, having the railway there and the bridges and things. It just brings the whole thing to life, doesn't it, a little bit more if you've got all of the tracks and things which exist. Get rid of that, and then we'll just have that. Yeah, I mean, this track probably is completely unrealistic now. Don't think it curves in anything like I've got it doing, but we'll have it anyway. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to do that in 2 bits, aren't I? Or no, 2 bits. Tight curve, and then tight curve onto there. It is actually quite a tight curve, as it kind of almost doubles back on itself as it goes to the Midland main line, so it's not completely unrealistic, but it might just be a little bit exaggerated. And then that runs alongside the Midland main line a bit like that anyway. And then just one more little bit, and then we'll just have these slew in to that line there. I mean, if you know what these lines are, I mean, I should know what they are, but I just don't always look what they're called. Does that actually? Yeah, no, that does merge into there. Yeah, I don't always research kind of the services or anything like that when I'm researching the track. I just literally want to get the infrastructure built, and then I can worry about what services, if any, use any of these tracks. So although that is probably a lot exaggerated, it's not actually too bad. So yeah, I've got a lot of work to do with the terrain, but we've finally got the North London line built, and as you can see, there's no errors or anything. So all the junctions are correct, and we can put on, well, we can look at our Class 67 haul freight service. So I think what I'll do is might do a little bit of tidying up around here, make it look a little bit more attractive off camera, and then at the end of this episode I will leave you with a train journey from the Tilbury Dock to, let's say, Harrow and Willstone, just so we can get a good view of all the different tracks. It might be a little bit ugly possibly, but it should be a good journey nevertheless, I think. So I'm going to leave it there for today. Say until next time, bye bye.